Speaking of China, Tzu Chi volunteers established a recycling station in Dongmen, Shenzhen to inspire locals to practice recycling. We meet Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital nurse Yang Shehua, who received the Top 10 Florist and Nightingale Award in Taiwan. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helena. Thank you for joining us. Since Cyclone Nargis hit Myanmar in 2008, Tzu Chi volunteers have continued to help disaster survivors get back on their feet. Recently, the volunteers went to Tianying Township near Yangon City to survey the conditions of 35 schools there. Later, they decided to help rebuild 71 classrooms in 12 schools.
In this classroom, one can easily find the infestation of termites over the ceiling. The pillars and beams of the structure are fragile too, leaving students' lives in danger. After Cyclone Nargis struck Myanmar in 2008, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to help students rebuild their school buildings so that they would have a safer learning environment.
It's not easy for these students to continue their education. They need to walk long distances to get to their school.
Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers visited 35 schools in Tianying Township, which is a 1-hour drive from Yangon. After their thorough surveys, they decided to rebuild 71 classrooms in 12 schools.
Their classrooms and learning environment are really bad. Seeing how they have to study in such a disadvantaged situation, we feel sorry for them. So we want to complete the construction project as quickly as possible.
Born and raised in Myanmar, head of the rebuilding team Wang Shuqing pays attention to every detail to make sure the measurements are right.
After I left Myanmar, I still hoped to come back to do something for the Burmese. This is where I was born and raised, so I can understand the children's feelings and needs.
Thanks to Tzu Chi volunteers and the construction team, the students of Myanmar have a more hopeful future.
Last year, Shenzhen city government officials from China came to Taiwan and visited the Tzu Chi Neihu recycling station. Inspired by Tzu Chi's ideals and senior volunteers' devotion, the officials decided to carry out similar recycling campaigns back home. In response to this government's request, Shenzhen Tzu Chi volunteers recently opened a new recycling station in Dongmen, which is a bustling shopping area, hoping to encourage more people to practice recycling.
Dongmen is a major shopping area in Shenzhen, China, with up to 300,000 visitors every day. Tzu Chi volunteers take to the stage to showcase Tzu Chi's eco-friendly clothing made from PET bottles to raise citizens' environmental awareness.
I didn't know disposable chopsticks were unsanitary. I use disposable chopsticks at restaurants quite often. But from now on, I will start using reusable chopsticks instead of disposable chopsticks.
Today, the most useful message I have learned is that I shouldn't use disposable chopsticks too often, because they can easily make me sick.
Every day, Shenzhen produces up to 14,292 tons of waste, so it requires each of its citizens to shoulder the responsibility of recycling to reduce the amount of cast-offs. Last November, 15 government officials of the Shenzhen Environmental Bureau visited Taiwan's Neihu Tzu Chi recycling station, and they were touched by the dedication of countless senior volunteers.
Seeing how these senior volunteers bathe in the joy of doing good deeds, we are very moved, and we will see if we can promote the same campaign back in Shenzhen.
Having gained a better understanding of Tzu Chi's recycling, once back at home, the city government asked Tzu Chi to set up a recycling station in the bustling Dongmen area. Countless volunteers worked around the clock to decorate the recycling station with posters carrying the environmental messages, hoping to enlist more people to join their ranks.
In Taiwan's Kaohsiung, recycling volunteers at the Tzu Chi Huai'an recycling station have been taking in plastic films, nylon fruit wrappers, plastic bags, and glass. Despite the complicated sorting process, volunteers insist on continuing their good work to help lessen the burden on our planet.
Sitting among the mountains of recyclables, what are these volunteers sorting?
We have to recycle recycle it, and give it a new lease on life.
It turns out volunteers are sorting different types of plastics according to their color, material, labeling, and picture. Each has to be sorted into the correct category. Walking inside a beverage shop, the plastic foam used to seal our drinks is often discarded as trash. Here at the small Huai'an recycling station in Kaohsiung, however, Tzu Chi volunteers are recycling the entire city's plastic foam.
It is synthetic plastic, so it's more complicated to recycle since it contains more than one material, so recycling companies don't really like it.
If the recycling process is complex and difficult, why are volunteers insisting on collecting these items?
If plastic bags are discarded as trash, once they are incinerated, they create toxins. And if we bury them in a landfill, they will spoil our soil quality.
Apart from recycling plastic foam, volunteers also sort plastic bags, glass, styrofoam, and nylon fruit wrappers. Although they are considered trash by many, these items are cherished by Tzu Chi volunteers.
Our planet is in jeopardy, so we have to work harder to safeguard it. Nowadays, people don't recycle plastic, but we still have to.
Although plastics are of limited value when recycled, volunteers devote their time and effort in the hopes of doing more for our planet.
Next to me, recycling volunteer Wu Yisheng, who has been collecting recyclables at a public cemetery every day for the past 9 years. Despite being ridiculed by others, Wu insists on practicing recycling. As he says, collecting recyclables makes him healthier and happier.
Despite the rain, one volunteer is not discouraged from recycling. Here at Keelung's Nanrong Public Cemetery, for the past 9 years, recycling volunteer Wu Yisheng has come every day, rain or shine, to collect recyclables.
No one wants to come here to collect recyclables because they are afraid of ghosts. They are uncomfortable here.
He is very diligent. He comes here at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Doing what I do needs great courage. Once a girl saw what I was doing, she told her mom what I did was unpleasant.
In the face of people's contempt for what he does, Wu Yisheng still insists on doing the right thing. Since 2005, he has started collecting recyclables at the cemetery, whatever the weather. Every day he works from dawn to dusk. Asked why he wants to take on this hard job, he says,
One can never make enough money in life. I think doing recycling is much more meaningful. Our earth is occupied by excessive waste. Now I have already cleared away the waste and recyclables in the cemetery.
Knocking off a block of cement to get the steel bars inside, Brother Wu, despite being 73 years of age, spares no effort in practicing recycling. Although the recycling work is totally voluntary, Wu gains something that is even more valuable than money as he performs it.
Doing exercise is good for our health. Now I do not catch colds so often thanks to the recycling work. Every day before I go out to recycle, I feel immersed in a sense of fulfillment.
Later, Wu Yisheng goes to a funeral to collect more recyclables.
I do this for the sake of our Mother Earth. Otherwise, do you think I could make a fortune from selling these paper boards? Impossible.
What seems to be an unpleasant thing for many is something Brother Wu shoulders gladly.
These ghosts know me. They won't do anything bad to me. Anyway, I'm doing a good thing. As long as you hold on to a sincere heart, nothing can scare you.
From Wu Yisheng's daily life, one can sense his commitment to recycling. It is that pure dedication that makes every ordinary recycling volunteer like Wu great.
In Taiwan, following the decline of the Tang Oil industry, many people started to forget about the beauty of these flowers. In 2003, however, the Hakka Affairs Council held the first ever Tang Blossom Festival, and these spring beauties soon attracted the attention of tourists. Next, we see how Tang Oil flowers have been transformed into symbols of Hakka culture.
3鮮一嘅搖同花開，花拍而石；八叫一嘅搖同日落，一望而圖。阿爸祭司萬山中同，同治2年埋；阿爸歌聲同花10年下。
When Tang Oil lost its economic value in the global market, the tree gradually lost its popularity. A few years later, Taiwan's manufacturing industry also lost its glory.
I still remember that my father worked around the clock. He was a very hardworking man. The older generation, like my father, had to make a lot of pottery to make ends meet. Nowadays, the younger generation like us hope to make products that represent our identity and culture.
This is kiln factory owner Li Jingming, whose family has been running the pottery business for 3 generations. Unfortunately, with the decline of the industry, Li had to sell 50% of his kiln factory to make ends meet. In 2003, however, Li's life was changed forever.
Tang oil trees are a significant symbol of the Hakka culture. When we incorporated Tang oil flowers into our products, many artists in other Hakka villages started to follow suit.
Currently, more than 50% of the products sold in Li's kiln factory are related to Tang oil trees. With years of hard work, Li Jingming hopes that he can repurchase the land he once sold. His next goal is to create a suitable working environment for his next generation. This is Nan Xiantian and his wife, who had to close down their kiln business because of the competitiveness of the ceramic market and relocation of the industry overseas. Just when the couple was in despair, Tang Oil Flowers came into their minds.
Back then, we didn't know whether it was the right decision to invest again because we had a lot of debt. We didn't know whether we would make a fortune by doing so, but we didn't have much choice.
For many Hakka people, the success of the Tang Blossom Festival in 2003 changed their lives forever because people started to notice these spring beauties more.
Before 2003, people didn't care much about Tang oil trees, and the fallen flowers would be swept into the ditches. From 2003, however, people started to treasure these flowers. People started making floral hoops and decorations out of these spring beauties. I believe that when we appreciate our culture, the products we make or events we organize will definitely touch people's hearts.
Aimed at introducing the Hakka culture to even more people, products associated with Tang oil flowers started to appear in the market.
Before, nobody knew how to make these Tang oil flower cups. I encouraged and pressured the artists to come up with these cups. These are the words I wrote for them. At first, no one dared to make large orders until the booming of the Tang Blossom Festival. Since then, many artists have been selling Tang oil flower cups all year round.
Without governmental subsidies and the pressure to come up with various merchandise related to the Tang oil flower, many store owners hesitated at first. Now, however, many can finally harvest the fruit of their hard work.
We have estimated that around 10 million people will show up for this year's Tang Blossom Festival. We believe it will generate about 8.3 to 10 billion US dollars.
I hope we can preserve this tradition for the generations to come.
Thanks to the booming of the Tang Blossom Festival, these spring beauties are no longer swiped into ditches but have become important assets to the Hakka culture as it continues to help artists generate profit. In our next report, we meet Tzu Chi volunteers, recycling volunteers, and members of the public who have overcome obstacles to attend Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony.
Senior Gao Ai stands out among the participants at the Buddha Day ceremony.
I have gained immense joy from being able to participate. When I'm not familiar with a part, I just follow others' lead. I think since my body can still handle it, I will participate.
Senior Gao Ai tirelessly sorts recyclables in her community and contributes to Tzu Chi as much as she can, giving selflessly for the benefit of others.
Even if I have to sleep less or eat less, I will be here to do it.
Sometimes when we think about taking it easy, we remember how much more effort she has put in.
Another who has yet to take it easy is Liu Shengde.
I can physically suffer from illness, but my spirit can't. Even though I'm sick, my heart is with the Buddha.
With the Dharma in his heart, the recycling volunteer is very grateful to his better half, who has been there every stage of his illness.
He has no more faults to pick at. Now that his physical condition is slowly deteriorating, we treasure all chances to participate in the ceremony together.
Even the young value the chance to participate in the Buddha Day ceremony.
I brought my daughter Tianhui along. She's in the 6th grade and she gets up every morning at 4 with me. Each year she will participate in the ceremony to honor the Buddha and garner blessings as she fulfills her filial duties.
These moving stories of love and selfless giving are just a part of Tzu Chi's annual Buddha Day ceremony.
To celebrate the upcoming International Nurses Day, which falls on May 12th, the Tzu Charity Foundation awarded 8 nurses the top 10 Florence Nightingale Award. Among the recipients was Yang Shehua, who is a nurse from Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's Community Health Center. He said, thank you for taking care of me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to be alive these past 4 years.
The last words Yang Shouhua's father said to her have been the driving force behind her dedication to nursing.
If you can swallow food on your own, then we can remove the feeding tube, right? Eating is good.
During each home visitation, Yang cares for each patient as though they are a member of her own family, even going as far as shaving them and giving them haircuts.
Because I saw a need, I set out to learn the skills. I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity, because it is for them that my horizons have expanded.
Seeing the smile